Okay. Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. I just gotta turn that off. Yeah. Welcome back to our last day. It's been super fun. I'm so thankful for all your homework, and I think that it'll be really great to review it. And I would encourage you to listen to, the review of everyone's work. So there's just a lot to learn by how people approach it and what you can see in other people's work. So there's lots of stuff on that. First off, there was a couple comments about the background. Was that you, Regina?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for putting your initials, because not that it really matters, but it's nice to think about who it is. So Regina was asking, actually, let me just read it so that I have it right. Whoops. Regina was asking, oh my gosh, sorry, she was asking about edges. I gotta read, I just closed the window. Here we go. Okay, there we go.
Is there any way, sorry to interrupt, is there
Yeah.
any way I can see the others on the screen? I only see you, Mel, and myself.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
But I'm on my iPad. I'm usually on my desktop. And
Okay.
so I would really like to see the others when they're speaking and so on.
Joe might have better help, but try to find a thing that says view.
View, yep, yes, in the
Somewhere.
upper right corner there, just click on view and then click on the gallery.
Some menu somewhere should have view options, Inga.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll look for it.
Okay. It might be different on the iPad.
Upper on the right corner.
Yeah, it's an old iPad.
Okay, so I will read the question from Regina. Hi, Mel, would you speak a bit about how you create dynamic backgrounds around the birds? We talked about using strong edges for the essential bird defining features, which I love the way you phrase that. That's super important. But the other parts of composition are so lively. Talk about your process with that. So I think the main way that I think about it and the way it turns out best is when I don't think background, foreground, especially when I start really blurred, or even if just with my eyes, I'm really blurring it, the whole entire rectangle or square. If you're developing it all at once, then the background will feel part of the picture, and therefore the background has a liveliness because it was like created in the same process, if that makes sense. I guess there's times where I will go, after the fact or partway through, I'll be considering what's around the main subject. But I think the ones that turn out the best are when the background is developed in the same cohesion, like along with the bird or whatever it is that I'm painting, so that it feels kind of natural and the same way. But I mean, you can go back in. I would just, try to consider how the ways they're connected and treat the background like the foreground. I think another thing about that I was just thinking of is, if, like, say I was doing the whole piece cohesively, and then I start working on more and more detail in, say, the bird's face, that's going to really make it more different than the background. So I think I'm actually usually quite limited in the amount of very tiny strokes. I would try to keep, if I'm doing tiny strokes on the face, they should feel like they're part of the background too. Does that make sense? Just, I guess, the treatment of it, and just continuing to use a big brush and be bold even in the center subject, so that it feels like the background, which, in quotes, which was probably done with a faster way. But it's just a challenge. But I think it's nice to, it's easiest done when you don't think about it. Kind of looks the most natural, right? So, it's all easy to say and hard to do. And it doesn't always work for me, for sure, either. Like today, I'm going to paint live with you guys today, which is always nerve-wracking, but I feel like you're pretty nice, and it doesn't matter if it doesn't turn out great, right? Like, because you'll be seeing the way it goes. That's the main thing to share with you. So but hopefully in that, I can remember to discuss that too. And then, does that answer your question, kind of, Regina?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, yeah, thanks for asking. Also, Inga had a question, kind of a techie question, right, Inga? About
Yes.
the blurring and the boards. So I won't really go too much into the blurring because I think
No
what I'm
need
gonna
to.
do today, I'm gonna
Yeah.
actually do it. I'm gonna do it with you. Like before I paint live, what I want to do is like do the whole process with you. Like I have this seagull video, or I could do a sparrow, one or the other. We can vote and choose the picture, blur it. Like I'll show you how I do it, because I think that would be
Yeah,
valuable.
what I found, if I may interrupt, is that
Yeah.
the most recent one I did, I took a board out, not a canvas, and painted the board, and it was smoother.
Yeah.
And I actually really liked it a lot more because I could stay true to the strokes and so on that I had put on the board. Whereas on the canvas, it changes.
Yeah.
And I really liked the fact that I could keep those very visible brush strokes. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that's cool. And yeah, and some people will feel the opposite, but I love that you tried that. I definitely prefer a smooth board. And I think because even a smoother canvas or a larger scale, if the canvas is a larger scale, then the texture is less relevant. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I do the
know.
same thing with watercolors. I prefer the hot press to the cold press.
Oh, you do? Yeah, very similar concept. Yeah, I think if I am painting on canvas, like I did those tiny pigeons and things, I tend to then need to use thicker paint, maybe to kind of fight the texture of the canvas. I want the paint to be more apparent than the canvas. I don't know. It's really good to try different things for yourself. And I like those little birch panels primed with clear gesso or the aluminum. That was the other part of your question, Inga, was painting.
Yeah,
on
yeah.
aluminum. So yeah, I buy these big sheets of, I'm just gonna grab a small one. One sec, I know where it is. Yeah, so here's, I don't know if you can see very well, but here's a little piece that has been primed. And if you can see, the edge has like black in the center. So that's like a plastic, I think it's called Sintra. It's almost like credit card material in the center. And then 2 pieces of aluminum. So it's referred to as aluminum dye bond, I guess, because it's 2-sided. And it comes with this white, it's kind of like a I forget if it's polypropylene or polyethylene coating that I lightly sand it. And then you can see this has been primed with like a beigey green. I like Gamblin's oil primer, and I sometimes tint it with a bit of something or do a couple coats, depending. Yeah. So that's just a fun thing to work on. I really think archivally too. I like painting on aluminum. It can't get punctured. It doesn't have texture. It's like weatherproof. It's pretty sturdy and smooth. So I like that. Other people that like texture though, I've heard that they will do their gesso or primer, if you use a kind of bristly brush and go one direction to let it dry and the other direction, you can get texture if you want it too. Just something interesting to try. I've even painted on Yupo, which is like a plastic paper. It tends to be for watercolor artists, but that's fun as well. I'm always slightly concerned about the adhesion. I phoned Legion Paper and spoke with them a bit about it. So, it's kind of experimental. So I don't want to be promoting things that it hasn't been tried and tested for 100 years, right? So, but I think try everything, see what you like. And for quick studies, a clear coated gesso on paper, or white gesso on paper, or clear gesso on beige paper is something I like doing. Just if you just want to do some quick studies, it's kind of a fun way to feel low stress about your materials. I don't know, it's something I tend to have to do for myself mentally, is pretend it's all practice. Well, it is though, right? But it's that head game of like not feeling like up to, I would hate to pay, and I've tried it when I'm trying to do a big thing for a show. If I'm in my head and thinking, oh, this is the really good linen and this is my one stretched good, I'm not in the right frame of mind. So for me, I think head games are a big part of this, and you find your own, but I'm
going to mess it up for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. It's too much pressure. So I really think more and more that I think and talk about art, that the head game is the hugest thing you got. And that's what's great about it. It's good for working through your own issues. Almost, you got to figure out where you're at and find the way to be who you want to be on canvas, right? And for me, but somehow believing that it's not important helps. And it's not really, right? It's like usually for me, it's like a $2 to $10 of materials and an hour of time, like just go for it. Inga's probably heard this before, but my best friend from high school is a pediatric ICU nurse. And so or she was. Anyways, I always think about how if she messes up, like that is a baby's life on the line, and that just helps me keep things in perspective. Sometimes that'll cross my mind and think like, nobody's losing a kidney, or like you're just trying to give birth. Like it's ego, right? We get so invested and we want it to be good, but like it actually doesn't matter. Like just go, and the more you relax and go for it and make more multiples, the better. So that's my little psychology lecture for today.
Yes.
Can I ask a slightly kind of related question?
Yeah.
I got your newsletter email.
Okay.
Congratulations on the show. It looks really exciting. And then you had, a picture of all were those on canvas? All like the small ones that were all around you?
Yeah.
So then what do you do to those? Then you like cut masonite or aluminum or something to size and glue them on?
Yeah, those can be mounted to, like a board with either archival glue or different things. For those particular ones, the framer did it for me. And what we've been doing with the small ones is she uses acid-free mat board. And then she has an archival acid-free, I think it's tape for seamstresses or something. She has this it's kind of expensive, but this double-sided tape, which she finds more reliable. She covers the whole back of it with double-sided tape, mounts it to the cardstock, like the acid-free mat board, which she has tons of offcuts of being a framer. So that's how we handle those particular ones. But yeah, otherwise people will often, it's probably smarter, honestly, to mount canvas to board, like you're saying, Stephanie, like a hardboard or something before you paint it. I just
sort of related to this mind thing,
absolutely.
right? Like even I didn't do a lot of homework for this class, but I'll just use the same sheet and just whatever. So what inevitably happens because of those mind games is I tend to like those, and I'm like, oh crap, now this is a weird size. I'm gonna have to ask my husband to cut this board. I don't have a frame that this fits in, and it's so annoying. So I at some point in the past, I kind of realized that, and I said, okay, I'm not painting on non-standard sizes anymore. But then I did it again because of that same reason that, because a cost of a nice custom frame can cost as much as a tiny painting. And, like that all those things sort of go in my mind when I think about surfaces.
Yeah, that's the story of my life the last couple of years. And like the gallery, like where I'm showing the portraits that you saw in the newsletter, she's very proud of me because they pay for the frames in that case. And so she was like, she's super cool. At last couple shows, she was like, okay, I don't want to hamper your process, paint what you got to paint. But then the frames are a big investment for either her or me or you. If it's, 9 3/8 by 12.5, it's like, and you just need to crop it. So, there's things that can be done. If you have a whole show, you can sometimes get framing in bulk. That's what my framer will do. And she'll get a better price. And if we're framing everything in the same frame, it can help to frame 10. It's not the biggest deal that they're unique. But then if it doesn't sell, you've got this weird frame. And so yes, it's an issue. And so for this show, the portraits you saw, I'm very proud that I at least traced out like 8 by 10 little pencil marks. I was like, I'm going to make, and I did. So I have 18 5x7s, 8 8x10s, and 3 16 by 20s in that show. So they're all standard size. And it makes a lot more sense. It's a lot more economical. So even if I was still kind of felt like I had the freedom of the loose canvas and not huge commitment.
I like that idea of marking it out, like using a bigger piece and marking it out. That
and
works.
then I did have so because it's just say I would take an 8 by 10 little canvas board or something and trace the rectangle onto my bigger loose canvas, then I still do have the flexibility. And some of them I definitely did move it like at least half an inch this way or that way. Like I'd get a piece of mat. She gave me a piece of mat board with an 8 by 10 window cut, and I could lay it over the top. And then for the final choice, I think I don't know, I guess it's almost like I really think composition matters so much that I want to shift it at the end. Like, it made such a difference to move things over just a half or quarter inch, or in a couple cases I even skewed it. So, because it was portrait, so the person's face is tilting like a little more this way or that way. And so that gave me that final edit availability. The pencil mark, you could see it in a couple places, but I can just put a dab just so you don't see the original guide. But yeah, that is part of the process. And that's important to me, having that flexibility or mindset. That really helps me a lot. I've seen a lot of paintings on pre-stretched canvas where the painting's done and I'm looking, not my own too, but anyone's, where I'm looking at it thinking like, oh, if they just cut an inch off, it would be such a better painting, but you just get into it's easy to
Yes.
I've actually taken paintings off stretcher bars and, sliced 2 inches off and then re-stretched or mounted it. It just makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Everything works.
I have a question. You mentioned something about canvas on board. Does that mean you actually mount the canvas on the flat board?
Yes, you can do that, but I was referring to have you ever seen like the Fredericks brand, or there's a few other brands where it looks like, here, I'll just grab one. I have one here. Yeah. Okay, like this.
Oh,
Back. So it's like, it's canvas surface. I can't really tell, but it's canvas and it's gessoed and it's on a piece of cardboard.
Right.
Yeah. But this is like what I used. I traced around this onto my loose, that's an 8x10. So I traced around it. I painted on these a lot. I also like these because although they are a set size, it's pretty easy to cut this with like a big X-Acto knife. You can always change your mind later.
Yeah.
And you buy them quite large. Like I'll buy them, 18 by 24 or whatever. For teaching, I'll chop up a bunch of little 5x5 squares out of them. And that's a great way to practice, like say birds. You could either do them right on the big piece, like just mark out a bunch of squares and do 20, or you could cut them down before or after. Multiples is a nice headspace too. That's like those portraits, the little ones I did were because I was feeling stressed about this show. And I thought, all right, I'm just going to do a bunch of practice ones. And then that's always my favorite stuff is when I'm like, oh, whatever, this is just for fun. So yeah. So materials I think are important for your, just for your mood and freedom and style. So try things.
Mel, I like painting on paper because of that head game again, that like it's disposable if it doesn't work. But they always tend to work. And I'll mount them on cradle boards. And then you don't have to frame at all.
That's right. So are you doing oil on paper, Roberta?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you prime the paper first?
Yeah.
Okay, sweet. Yeah. That's a nice idea to mount it onto the cradle board. I'm just going to grab a cradle board because we're talking about them. This is what I believe Roberta's talking about. And that's another thing.
Yeah.
This is a little baby one I might use today. So it's just a birch panel. But yeah, if you mount the paper flush on there, then you just trim it and then you can put that on a wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And can I ask a quick question, Roberta? This is Liz. What do you use? Do you use like an archival glue? What do you use to mount?
I do. The one I use is called Miracle Muck.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Another glue that I've had and that we sell where I work one day a week at the art supply store, we sell Yes paste. Have you ever used that, Roberta?
I do. I have some of that.
Yeah, it's also like an pardon?
Oh, I think I interrupted. You were asking Roberta, have you used that? The Yes paste?
Haven't. No,
Yeah.
I've got such a large bottle of Miracle Muck that
You don't need
I'll
to.
use that till it's gone.
Right.
Cool. I'm gonna look that one up. I didn't know that one. That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
So there's different ways you can mount it. But yeah, great ideas. And yeah, it's all just playing around. It's good to do things small and practice and try multiples just till you see what works for you. Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Any other thoughts on that? I'll talk about the blurring apps and stuff in a bit, but maybe now we'll go into homework unless there's anything else about that. No, you're good. Okay. Let's share my screen of the.
I did have one more question. When
Sure.
you were Yupo, how did you mount that?
That was tricky. So
Yeah.
I had one, I'm gonna say I had one where I mounted it. It was a little large, like, well, for me, it was 8.5 by 11 or kind of 8 by 11. And I mounted it with Yes Paste, but it did get a bubble. And it ended up being unsellable. I gave it to my nephew. He loves it, but that it was tricky. And what we came to with Yupo, what I'm doing now is only small things.
Yeah.
And just kind of tape it, like treating it almost like watercolor. You can just tape it at the top or mount it either with the double-sided archival tape, but be cautious with glue. I mean, with anything, especially anything thin or flexible, be real careful of bubbles. You have to really weight it. You have to make sure you have enough and that it's really covered and weighted down flat. So it's a risk. So I will say that's the drawback of this whole thing. And like Stephanie said, I've had every time I have my framers are nice, but it's like I bring them a new curveball all the time. So, I recommend it psychologically in some ways, but yeah, it can drop it. That was a problem. So I've now, sorry, there's a saw. I'm now only doing smaller things on Yupo. They do need to be framed too. That's another kind of thing. You have to put them in a frame, but if you can just tape even the top and let it hang. Heavy Yupo, actually you can get Yupo extra heavy. It's more pricey, but that would also help with avoiding the bubbles. And again, with the Yupo, like I did talk to Legion paper, I do use Galkid, which is like helps with the adhesion, but sometimes I think it would probably be recommended to lightly sand it or try to, yeah. So just, word of caution on it. I love it, especially for playing around, but yeah.
Thank
That's
you.
all I know. Yeah, thanks. Okay, can you hear that saw? Oh,
Not at all. Yeah.
okay, it's just
No.
driving me. Just
Nope.
me. I think I'll shut the window if it keeps going. Okay, let's look at the homework. Thanks for doing homework. It's fun. And yeah, so I think what I'll do is let's go through the crow ones first. And then some people took their own reference. I don't know if you had a chance to look at each other's work at all. And you're seeing this Padlet, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. Okay. Is Joanne here today? No. I don't think so, but let's talk about Joanne's. I really like the colors, and actually I love the loose edge. Like I think that looks nice as the whole piece. Like it kind of feels like a beautiful sketch to me. It feels free and like complete kind of. I like it. I think you can really see this lost edge right here. Are you seeing my cursor?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Awesome.
Yep.
Is that watercolor?
No, well, actually, I don't know, but I think it's oil used thinly.
No, it's oil. Yeah, it looks like oil.
Yeah.
Wet.
It's cool. It's just used in a thin manner, which I do like. And that's a fun thing to exaggerate at times. I think I used to paint more thinly. But there's I like the variety. Like you can see it gets thicker here. I feel like maybe the eyebrow or eye might be up a little bit, but it doesn't matter actually. It's subtle enough. Like I like that this is not getting super dark and super light. There's like a really cute little highlight, but I think it's managed pretty well. It feels really free, doesn't it? Like the whole thing. I don't know. I think it has a nice feeling overall. I like the colors are neat and cohesive, and things seem to be in the right position. So yeah, there's a lot I like about it. I guess, this would be a case where it would be interesting to lay, that's another thing I have for my framer is 2 corners. Like if you took a mat board that had a hole in it and then you cut 2 diagonal, you end up with 2 L-shaped things and you can use it as a cropper. It would be really interesting to try cropping this in different ways and decide, like, do you leave this white area showing? And if so, would you need to leave some of this upper right area showing to balance it out? So the way you crop it could be pretty interesting. So yeah, good job, Joanne. Those are the things I really like about it. And I think the drawing's accurate. Love the, Kathy she did this chicken, but let's just do the crow first. We'll do all the crows. Yeah, so Kathy's crow is here. And yeah, it has a lot of nice paint action going on too. And I like the variety of like from greens to blues, like lots of tones. I think there feels like, don't have my reference actually, but it feels like something might be off with his head position or eye, but I think that the action is awesome and it feels painterly, like it feels painterly in a cool way. I wonder if some edges could have been almost more completely lost here. I really like this little mark. It kind of makes it feel like the leg is really going backwards in such a bird-like way. Yeah, I think there's some really nice marks, lots of energy. I like this. I like the speed and feeling of it. I think the shadow feels a bit dark. I kind of think it would be nice if the shadow was slightly lighter to let the bird stand a little more, but yeah, I think that was a job well done for sure on that. Kathy, she's not here, right? No. Okay. Regina's here, and yeah, you did stages. I love the pigeon. Okay, but for now, let's just do the crow again. And I'm gonna, I just want to bring up my crow reference for myself to look at. Sorry, 1 minute. Sorry, guys, 1 sec. I just want to be looking at the crow because I'm talking about it and not. Okay, here we go. Okay, now I can see my crow reference at the same time. Okay, back to you guys are here and we're looking at Regina's crow in 2 stages. Yes. Now, wait, these are the same.
Yeah.
Crow
That's stage
stage
one.
1. Okay, awesome. Fun. And was this upside down,
Yeah.
Regina?
Yes.
Nice. Cool. I love it. Yeah, he has a cool vibe. And I'm curious to know if it's great that I feel like I'm curious to know if you remember if you added this color to make it match the background, which it does in a gorgeous way, or if that just happened, or maybe you don't remember.
It was right after class on Wednesday, and I can't remember. Sorry.
Yeah. No, it doesn't matter. It's cool that you, yeah, I feel like there was an intentional matching of color there, which is cool to see. And then you did some more. Nice. Yeah, were you doing some wiping? Oh no, that's like white paint added on.
I worked with just a really limited palette. I worked with just blue, burnt umber, transparent red oxide, yellow ochre, and white.
Yeah, awesome. I think the cohesive palette helps with making things soft and cohesive. I feel like there are some color bits that jump out or some lines that are harder. So it's just checking where your eye lands, like, and maybe that's why you're asking about the background. Like, I think the background is quite soft compared to say the smaller feather marks. So then your eye does go to those. So it's just being aware that that's happening and checking that how much you want that, right? Like with the smaller barks will grab your eye, but look how it's cool how that disappears. I like that you didn't really articulate the feet that are in the shadow because you don't need to. Yeah, I feel like this bird's position of head and everything is really good. It feels like he's looking down, and the eye, yeah, I see the eye now on that. I should have been looking at my reference with the others, sorry. But yeah, the eye does look, it reads well. It's really often a thing to look for is that, like I think I was talking about like that brow line, like that feels real. And I feel like he's got a good tilt to his head in a cool way.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Oh no, I just stopped my screen share. Sorry. Let's get back in there. Okay, are you there now? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, and that is That was Regina's crow. Yeah. And we'll go back in a bit. I love that people did their own imagery too. Patty also did a crow. It's gonna zip down to that for now. This guy's quite charming and loose. I think it has
Yeah, wow.
it's fun. Like, I'm curious about the scale. I'm wondering what scale. I feel like by the texture, looking at the texture, I would guess this is kind of like small, like 5 inches or less or something.
Gosh, no, it's actually, I think, 8 by 10, I think.
Oh, 8 by 10.
I think so.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, that
Cool.
was the one I did during class.
Yeah.
I didn't have a photo reference. I was just watching you.
Oh, fun.
So I was painting along with you, and you were looking at the reference, and I was like going, all right, I'm gonna do this. So
Yeah.
I didn't know, to me, I was like, oh, it kind of looks like a J. But
Yeah.
so then after class, I did, I got the reference and I painted another crow. So
Is that this one?
yes.
Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, different, like much more realistic kind of like, there's definitely some things about this, like drawing wise, like there's something funny going on with his chest coming out like that. But I think, I don't know. I think there's a real value.
Oh, I love it.
You love it? Yeah, I do
Yeah.
too. It's like a
That's
real
my character.
charm and value in the immediacy
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the cohesiveness and the loss. Look how the back of the head's totally
Yeah.
gone. It's kind of interesting. It's just a really interesting study. I think that's cool. And then I can see in your other one, yeah, you've got more detail, more realistic. You're choosing some really graphic black lines here. These ones I feel like could even have been, the contrast is so low that it's nice, like it's blending away, but almost could have lost them even more, maybe. Yeah, and then just be cautious with, I think it's working out, but just be cautious with bringing too much contrast into the dark side. But I love this brown, the brown showing there, like it kind of feels like a warm reflection. It's neat. I like seeing the limited color use because there can be some subtle things show up that are nice like that. It feels cohesive. I like the choice to just put a couple light dots in a fun way, and this little mark there is always fun with the leg. But yeah, he's got a nice big beak, almost looks like a raven, which is cool.
And my daughter says, oh, it's so much more corvid.
Oh yes.
And I was like, where'd you get that word? But
it is versus the other one, you mean? Or just
yes.
Yeah. Yeah, corvid means, Stephanie will know if it's
Yeah, it's like the family Corvidae is where a lot of these jays and crows and ravens and stuff are.
cool. Yeah, he's very corvid, very cool. Okay, we'll wait on the others and let's just zoom through Inga's. Inga did a ton of crow work. So, okay, but let's start with.
Yeah, I did that. I did the one painting along with you.
Okay,
That's that one there. Yeah.
Yeah, let's look at those right now.
And
this is cool. Look how
I feel like it's a human being, not a bird. I don't know why.
Whoa, that's awesome. It
Yeah,
has
like
a lot of life.
it's just something. It's just me. That's all. And I really actually, I've had some really interesting conversations about it that I won't go into right now.
Okay.
And one person said, what kind of mood were you in at the time? And I said, I was happy painting with my teacher. And then but it has this daunting look to it with the eyeball there that it ended up with that was totally accidental. It wasn't even meant to happen. I don't know how it happened. I really
the
don't
dark
know.
area here, Inga.
Yeah.
Well, it has
probably just stop there or something. Yeah.
I think it's cool.
What size is it?
It's a 4x4.
So tiny.
Yeah.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
did with the number 2. I didn't do it with number 12. I thought that was a bit too big. So I thought
Yeah.
about it with the number. No, what's it? Is it the number 2?
I
Yeah,
don't know.
number 6. The number 6. Yeah, the number
Okay.
6.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty big for that scale. Well, I mean, that's a surefire way to get some energy and emotion.
Yeah.
If
yeah.
you're doing it fast and small with a big brush, and if you can kind of be in the right frame of mood to just frame of mind to just go for it. And with the paint quite thin, you're able to just quickly, and I think
That's
I
what I
think it's
did, and I'm happy with it for that
Good.
reason.
yeah,
I am, yeah, for that.
yeah.
very-
And then, the trick is then deciding what to adjust. But
Yeah.
one thing
Yeah.
I did, I forget why, for some Christmas challenge or something, I was supposed to make like 6 birds. And so I actually did them at the same time. And that was really interesting to do. Like I did the start, like 6 times and then went, and kept going. And that might be a fun way to see, because it's always tricky, right? At this point, it's like what to do next. And sometimes
The same reference, Mel?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I've shown you some other ones where I painted them in the same day or 2 with similar reference, but this was like the exact same bird. And I just did, this step 6 times and then tried to do each step in series. And it was interesting to have the different treatments, and they all turn out a little different. It's kind of fun. Whoops. Yes. And so then you took it here, Inga?
No, it was actually the other way around. So this is yeah, I know. Darn. Yeah. Yeah,
So
you're like shit, I should have just left it there. And I realized that afterwards, because you're taking the photo shots, right? And I'm like, well, I can try and bring it back, but I don't know.
Yeah.
But at least I have a photo of it.
You could, or you can do it again. Okay, so I
will do it again because I love it. And I'll paint along with you on that one as long as we can have it. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, cool. Yeah, because I thought, I guess maybe it's because of the photo being a little more contrasty. I thought this was after, and I was going to say, whoa, I love the bold, few marks here that feel like the form.
Well, maybe that is the after, but no, I don't think it is.
No, I think
no. From what I can see, I can see it over here. No, that's not it. It's the other one.
So I think if we look at what happened between here, the one thing, I think this light patch might jump out a bit much for me.
Yeah.
But I like the energy of it, but because of the contrast, it's
me too. That's what I like about it too.
But I love these marks in here a lot. And I see in the next step what happened, which always, happens to everyone too. They got a little more smoothed out.
Yeah,
right?
They did. Yeah.
And I feel like they were great with the initial one, but it's so hard to stop. Look at this juicy thing. What the heck?
I know.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I have it on record, so it's all right.
It's all right.
Yeah, it's okay. The next time.
And it just takes hundreds of times of practice, and you never.
Birds are so much fun. I didn't realize how much fun they are to paint, Mel. I really just love it. Yeah. And I love birds, so it's good. Yeah.
That's cool. And this
photograph all my chickens.
Chickens? Yeah.
She's got a million chickens. Yeah.
That would be fun. I feel like this one it still really feels like it's walking. I think it's this diagonal and this diagonal. Yeah, it's just interesting because if everyone starts in their own fast way, all of us in this group were to do it, you can't help but have them each be individual. And I think that's cool versus painstakingly making it accurate to the photo. I feel like, everyone's going to have their line of how far they want that to be, but this has a great personality. I think he's really fun.
Yes.
And and then that's, well,
there's a blue one where I took from the beach, but the one I would like you to critique is my flying bird.
Okay, we'll do that. We'll do that in a sec. I'm just going to go through the other reference pros, and then we'll go back because some of you did some super fun things with your own reference. I love it.
Okay.
And Roberta, this guy's adorable.
Yeah.
Yeah, really fun. So this was your start, right, Roberta?
Yeah.
And then you went so much for such a big jump, right? Between them. And that was your own reference. But this is beautiful.
Wow.
This warm blue is just super killer for me, like that mark coming forward, and the way this disappears in a natural feeling way. The back, like it just feels like he just feels very whole and feels like he's stepping. And I think the colors are really neat. You've added a lot of color other time, like in the sparrow as well. I remember
I've just been working with what's on my palette, like, and it's mostly the leftover paint.
Nice. Yeah, but your choices are good, right? You're not just, I don't know, you're doing a good job of pushing at bringing color in that is just more varied. Like I'm pushing and suggesting cohesiveness with the basic palette, but I think you're doing an excellent job with like the additional colors you bring in, they add to it. They don't feel distracting or crazy. Like I think it's adding interest in a lovely way. I think you handled that really well. And it's really, I think the color passage I'm really interested in here is this, like this blue is kind of warmer, and then it's still like a warmy green under here. And then look at the sharpness of that leg. I don't know, I can really feel the leg in the back, and then this, if I think about an apple or a ball, like you can almost see it right there, right? And I think that feeling of mass is really important. Like it feels like you can almost feel him like sitting or breathing, right? Like I think the color and value choices in the center here are so nice, and the way that goes away is cool. Actually, is this a board, Roberta?
It's paper.
Oh, paper. That's why it's smooth. And did you tint it this sort of peachy?
Yeah.
Yeah. You can see it down at the bottom there. That's a lovely glow. Cool.
I don't like his beak. Like I think his beak looks too, I don't know.
Yeah, it would be interesting to tone down the contrast. Like if I just use my finger, I know you guys can't see it. I could almost do it in Photoshop, but yeah, maybe I can, like if you were to tone down the contrast on the edge of the beak and even the eye, if the eye could be just a simplified dark in the way that the chest is handled. It's so hard because the beak is like psychologically important. And there probably really is some sharp contrast there. I'm just looking at my image actually, one sec. Yeah, it's there in the image. But if we're looking at your painting as a whole, this whiteness on the beak is definitely the brightest. It's brighter than the background, and brighter than anything. So your eye does go to it because it's very sharp and dark or bright. It would be fun to see. Actually, I'm gonna let's see if I can. Where did it go? I like this start too. You can see in here that you are even the immediate just rough in, you're feeling the difference in value. It feels like this underside and then the lighter side. Like I just like that quick start. It's fun to see. Did you take other process shots or probably not?
I didn't. No, I should have.
Okay. Oh, that's okay. I'm just because we have a bit of time, I'm gonna just open this up in Photoshop. I just want to try something because this is kind of fun to do. And I know, oops. Let's see. There we go. So right now, okay, I just gotta change my screen share. Okay, I'm just gonna bring up Roberta's bird in Photoshop for fun because I found this valuable in some other teaching in real life too. Like, I don't know, this is just a comment. Like, I don't like to touch people's work in real life because I think it's yours, but in Photoshop, it can be fun to just sort of see what would happen if a couple things were adjusted. And it's something I can do. You can even do it on your phone in the Photos app if you go to edit and use the pen tool. It's quite rudimentary, but you could do something like this even on your phone, just to see like what would happen if just gonna grab a paintbrush here. What would happen if that beak was toned down, for instance? Just gonna try to get a soft brush and try this. Like if oops. Even if, because I was kind of trying to do this with my finger, like even if that was softened down like that, and maybe
Yeah.
I feel like then my eye is more going to the thing, and I'm just doing this, really, and I would maybe reduce that or add, I'm not sure, I'm not really looking at my reference, but something kind of dark in the eyes,
Yeah, I
not
agree.
doing it quite right.
Guys, yeah, now, bro, yeah.
That's something
Very
about,
I feel like the body and those colors, that subtle blend of colors, that's like the star of the show to me. It's so obviously a bird.
totally.
And
Yeah.
that's really fun to see that, Mel. Thank you for doing that. It's beautiful, Roberta.
Thank
It
you.
really is. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
certainly don't want you to feel like,
Fantastic.
I don't want to feel like I'm picking on you, Roberta, in any, if
Oh,
anything.
no,
It's
not at
like,
all.
I
Yeah.
just think this is gorgeously done. And because I kind of, like you just said, that was that Regina, that the star of the show is just the whole of it.
That
Yes.
was Liz. That was Liz. And yes, it is. It's gorgeous. I love it. And she's working on it because it's all almost right there. So it's
Oh
fun.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
it's scary to touch something that's such a beautiful piece, but yeah, totally up to you whether you would consider that. But and
Yeah, no, that makes a big difference. And like, because for me, the beak it feels like it's just a triangle, not that it has any form to it.
right. Yeah. That it felt too. Oh, I see. Like you're talking about the outer edge of the beak. I
Well,
don't know.
just the whole
beak.
thing. But I think now, like when you did that, I think I could make some touch-ups to it.
Even honestly, even just muting that down to be the level of like this highlight,
Yeah,
just a little, and maybe just making sure there's a dark kind of brow happening. That's
yeah,
connecting to the eye. Or actually it kind of goes, it's kind of a weird, like almost like a outer like there's almost like a rectangle that goes in the reference that goes kind of across and down. That's quite dark, but
yeah.
There's
it's beautifully done.
there's such a lovely softness to it, and
Oh yeah.
the beak is always difficult, and if the way I'm seeing it is that the beak is very, very defined, and the rest of it's very soft. And to
Mhm.
just soften that up a bit so that it's not quite, it's not quite so beaky.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Technical term, but
Because
that,
I think
yeah, it's just stunning. I think it's stunning.
it's lovely. And
Thank
I think because of the pose that we've got here, the silhouette of the beak is really it's gonna say beak.
Yeah.
Right? Enough that you don't need a lot more.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But super nice job. And yeah, that was fun to look at. I really like your everything. Edges and color are gorgeous.
thank you.
Very cool. And Liz is here, right?
Yeah. And like I said I did this right before class started, and I just had the one picture because I was gone, and then I didn't get my homework done in time because I was gone. So very quick and not done, but there you go.
This guy's cute, like real graphic.
Yes.
And strutting, and I dig the warm background showing through. Like I think that's actually making it, because the paint on the top is quite black and white with little bits of blue, which is great, nice and cohesive and muted. But I like the energy of the background coming through. Actually, it's adding some warmth, and I think you've made.
Oh, I was gonna say, doesn't he look like one of those army men on the plastic with that plastic bottom? That's the shadows bugging the heck out of me on that. But I love the crows. I love crows and the gestures, so that was fun to play with. But he looks like an army crow.
Army crow.
He's got great personality.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't know about the shadow, but
I'm curious to know what's bugging you about the shadow.
Well, I just was playing, it's the color, maybe it's the color, maybe I need to gray it down a little bit. And I do have blue in his body, the crow's body, or her body, but it's just, I don't know, maybe it's just that it's so blue. Maybe it's just that.
Yeah. Yeah. The blue is kind of neat because it's a different thing, but you could think about, maybe this back edge here could be muted or blur or not so blue and maybe softer.
Yeah.
But I like that there's some blue. I think it kind of implies the reflected sky. The blue's kind of neat.
All right. Okay. Well, good.
And when you said army men, I think what you've captured, it's quite sharp. Like all of it's quite sharp, but it's kind of working because it has like a shiny solidity. Like the crow all works. I'm trying to think. And you know what's interesting, like much as this is quite a contrasty edge, the fact that it's a little, let's see if I can zoom in, like the fact that it's broken there, like you are getting some of that difference between this is going away, whereas the addition of this white,
right,
interesting
sharper.
to think if that kind of, I like it how you can see there's like a hardness, softer, and then it kind of gets hard again because you added that white. I think that's neat. And the little bits of white here are quite sharp, but I appreciate, sort of like we were just talking about with Roberta's, these are brighter than the face and beak, which are easy to add more highlights. And maybe because you did it quick, I like that you've left that.
Yeah, he doesn't have an eye. I didn't, no eye. And I actually was okay with that. I let it be more profile. Yeah.
Yeah, because if you can't see it much in the reference, you don't need it much. And this little brow mark is actually so cute. Like he just has like a little strutting. He's strutting and he's confident and fun. Yeah, I think maybe the speed served you well actually. And it's I don't know your other work, but I like it.
Well, and I just thank you so much for walking us through, because I have lots of photo references of but they're photos, they're not videos. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. That was a great tidbit because all those quick little movements of birds. So I can't wait to start. I didn't do that. Haven't done it yet, but I can't wait to do that going forward. So thanks for that. Great way to capture lots of references.
For sure. Yeah. Nice work. I like it. And that's why I don't have your name down because you just did it. So cool.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be a total slacker. So I was just a partial slacker.
Good job. Well, it's helpful to do it. And you guys can always watch things back.
Right.
But it's nice for me to have the work to review. And I think everyone can learn from everyone. So that's helpful. Thanks. And we've got Stephanie is the last crow that I have during class, right? This one?
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. And so you just did this along with me?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Ooh.
Yeah.
Really like it. I really like the immediacy and the things that I think the thing that is jumping out to me as really interesting is this like paint quality, like because it's so fast, like these super thin bits. It's like I don't know if I showed you guys the Rembrandt or I was talking about Jenny Saville. Like there's painters where you can see the steps. And although this whole thing was probably done quite quickly in class, it feels like it has a history of creation. Like you can kind of tell I don't know, I like that I can see that this came first, these thin bits came first, and that you chose to add that, say that mark in or this mark in. Those are beautiful marks, Stephanie. And so decisive, like even this swish going up, I actually super dig that. And the sharpness, like this is super neat. That is really sharp on the front of the beak. And it feels like a conscious decision to put that there to make it hard, like to clarify it. Like that feels like a nice decisive mark. Was this reflection just there or did you add that in? Do you remember?
You know what? I am normally such a perfectionist to the point where I can take I have taken classes with people and I'm like, it's this whole thing about finding your voice and finding your style. Like I could paint something that probably looked a lot more similar to what you did. And that's often what I do, just like for lack of confidence, I think. And on the other hand, like I've painted stuff of mine that I like, but I'm trying to like follow these ideas from your class about mood and edges, which is something I rarely think about. And so honestly, like it was all, I don't even remember a single decision that I made. Like I saw somehow like some scratchy white stuff got on there. I did not go like this. I know that. And I thought, that's close enough to what the image, you know, I did like one swoop and I was like, that's close enough. And like that front edge, I think I was just trying to more correct the shape than thinking about specifically like, is this going to be a hard edge or not? And once the shape was kind of okay-ish, I just stopped. So it's like not at all the way I normally paint, but I was trying to embrace these ideas that you've been talking about of like, I don't know, just being more intuitive and not fussing too much. And I was trying really hard to go like what we talked about last week, like what needs to be fixed versus like, how does this bird look exactly like the reference photo?
Yes.
Or I don't know.
Yes.
But the thing is, like, I think if I put that aside and painted it again, it might look nothing like that because of the way that I did it.
Yeah, for sure. But you had a cool process happening. Like, I'm happy to hear if you painted along or just thank you for like you're saying, this is different than you normally paint. And it's hard to try something in a different way. So it's super cool to do that, even if you take parts of this. But I think just like you said, that's always how I'm thinking. I'm not thinking like this edge should be hard, but you probably saw just intuitively when you're painting quickly, you probably felt like, oh, the beak's not quite right. So you just clarify it in just that fast decision making of like, this needs to be a little different. This need like the correction of what matters. And it does feel like that in the moment. I just think that's such a great, like in the moment mark that did the job it had to do, you know, and ended up being cool. And then the white, I was just curious if you added it in or not. It's kind of interesting. Like it would be, I don't know, it'd be interesting to see what it's like without it. I kind of think it needs either that or something, but I particularly love this super singular swish that like, it describes everything. Like it joins it to the background. It like lets you know there's light there. It feels like the top of a wing or something.
Yeah.
You know, it's just beautiful when those things happen. And I do think they usually happen when they're done kind of quickly and intuitively, like you said. And if you have
like the way that you paint feels more fun than, you know, because you learn all these things, right? Color, temperature, value, contrast. And like usually when I'm painting, I'm always thinking about like, is this the same color? Is it like, how close is it? Oh, like the back should be more neutral, like the under, and it, I think it does affect your ability to have that kind of freeness, right? If every kind of thing that you're doing involves all these decisions, you're taking away so much of the spontaneity. I kind of like the idea of, I don't know, just being a little more intuitive about it. I don't know how I would replicate that on my own. I should try, obviously, but I don't know.
Totally. You're right. There's so much to think about. And I sometimes think it's like dancing or something. Like if you're thinking about dancing, you can't do it, you know, freely, you know, so you sort of, and yet if you have, like, say you're a trained dancer, which I'm not, but like, if you have the training, which I think you do, Stephanie, like you have a ton of practice under your belt and you know birds, which is amazing, then in your case in particular, if you have the practice already under your belt and some knowledge, you can afford to be intuitive because you're going to just feel quickly what feels wrong. Like, and you'll just feel like, oh, that beak's not right, not feeling right, and just quickly do those things. I think that, I don't know, I think this turned out really fun and I'm glad you enjoyed it, especially if it's different than how you usually work. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for sharing how you felt about it, because it's interesting to see how the process feels, especially if it's not what you're used to. And you know, and everything you're saying is stuff I've gone through and still do all the time. And I think the phrase I liked that you said was the just quickly thinking what needs to be corrected is not even a word I like, but like what doesn't feel right or what needs to be a little more right. And I think those quick decisions, like when you're just glancing around, quickly flicking your eyes from the reference to the painting and just seeing like not what needs to be super accurate, but what feels like a bird or not.
Yeah.
And yeah, I really dig it. I think it's so the brush scale and the speed is super neat. And I like just that you can see that it was made by hand quickly. You can feel the pace and the decision making, although they were done without consciousness. That's almost what's great about it. I really like it. That is cool. Okay, that was your sparrow. Okay, so that's everybody's crows. And then if you guys are okay to keep going, maybe we'll just go through the last of this homework and then we'll take a break. So the first I had Kathy painted a crow and then did her own reference image. So cool. Oh, and Kathy's not here today right now, is she? No. So Kathy said, I guess this was her own chicken, which is pretty cool. And the view is kind of interesting, right? This is a case where the head is within the body when you're looking at it from an outside shape. I'm just gonna actually take a screenshot of that, and whoops. Here is Kathy's painting too. I'm gonna just bring that up too, because I just think it's interesting to think of. I want to talk now with these ones where people took their own reference. Like it's interesting to talk about and think about the reference image itself, how to choose it and what's important. Let me open it. Come on. Okay. Yeah, okay. I'm just gonna go to Photoshop for a sec because I want to just kind of show you this chicken or something I think about when I look at the reference image. All right, are you seeing the chicken?
Yes.
I hope. Okay, thanks. There we go. Let me get like a smaller. Okay, so choose a color that we will see. How about blue? Okay, crazy blue. Because what I when you're thinking about the form of anything, like this would apply to like people or birds or anything, actually, even if it's not human, but particularly if it's something alive, like the structure, like it's important to keep in mind that if I was painting this, I'd be looking to make sure I feel like the head is here. And then I see sort of like this here. And then it's almost like concentric circles, right? Like that's going to be important for the feeling of the bird. Like it's almost like 3 balls stacked, like a snowman from above, like that sort of concept. So these are just what I would be looking at in the reference picture, because it's a bit, it's tricky with these feathers being all similar. It's going to be important to kind of keep that barely just in the back of my mind. And the toe poking out is really cute, right? So that is showing through. And let me just open Kathy's painting. It's so nice to paint something that you know and care about. So that is cool. And this is fun. I feel like the colors are beautiful in chickens, and you've done a good job of making them quite subtle and pretty. So I'm just going to flip back and forth between the two. You guys can see both, right? As I'm doing that. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I feel like with the position of the head, it's kind of a psychological thing. Maybe like this head in Kathy's is a little more centered than the head in the reference pic, which isn't a big deal. Like as long as it feels like the chicken, that would be okay. I think that I definitely get the feeling of this outer nice, like chickens are so cute and roundy. So you definitely have that roundness, but I think it would be cool if there was a way to kind of feel a bit more of like where the head is and then that sort of second neck ball, just in terms of the feeling of it. But what I dig is the difference in color. Like I think that the grays are really actually supporting the warmth in a nice way, and that there's a lot of action, and this is done nice and fast, and there isn't too much detail in the eye, maybe because the reference doesn't have it, which is good. I think oops, all right, I'm trying to pick another color. I think I think in looking at the painting, let's just go back again, like there is that face happening there. Like you can tell the beak comes forward. I like that you've chosen the important spots to put some dark to make the beak kind of pop up. And there, even though there's dark on the, like literally a darkness on the chicken's beak, it's nice that you didn't overemphasize that, because I think that could have been confusing. But I think what I would look for is the placement of like where, oops, yellow's a bad color. Let me just get something else. Okay, let's go with the darker blue. I think it'd be important to check that the eye is just a dark area there and there, and feel that shape coming down like that in looking at the chicken, like just, and there it is there. So there's that there and that there. Maybe just sharpen this up so it feels like it's really long. So that was just that, and that's more about, it's more about the reference pick than even the painting. It's just making sure to feel like, to kind of check what's important. And for me in this pose, I actually think it's neat. Chickens are so cool. And the tail going off the back actually is lovely, that can soften up. I might even have let it be a bit more fluffy and bright on the top and back, because that really feels chickeny, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think that's cool. Okay, going back to, but yeah, thank you for that. That was Kathy. Yeah, it's super cool. Cool reference pick. And I want, makes me want to paint more chickens. I really think I might. And you were saying that, was that Inga saying your neighbor has chickens? I think
I'm gonna go up, and she's got the most amazing chickens with big feathers and colors, and they're just a huge variety. I can't wait to get up there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, Regina, you did your own reference too. Okay, so tell me about this pic.
So this picture was, I just over the weekend went online and just looked for footage of pigeons walking around.
Yes.
I found this guy walking, and I was like, I sort of liked, he was walking towards another pigeon, and he was strutting for her. And I just thought it was kind of cute. And I thought, well, what would happen if if I picked something where the beak was kind of not the thing that says bird?
Okay, cool. Yes.
Like, what would happen? So like, I thought, okay, the feet are really interesting, and that fluffed out tail is really interesting. So that's why I picked that. And I liked it because he was moving, so it was naturally kind of blurry.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, cool. That's really, you know what it makes me think of is like, this is maybe weird, but it's making me think of like a woman at the Met Gala, where it's like all about her heels and her like big squishy dress, like that. That's
yes.
That part.
Yeah.
And I mean, in this reference pic, that really is the star of the show, because it's what's in focus. So that it's very different. I think it's a challenging one to work with, because we're going to try to figure out what's there. And there's
not much there.
Yeah, there's not much there. So it's a question of how little. I don't know. It's fascinating. It would be pretty tough to do. It was. Yeah. So is this your first step?
This is my first step, my upside down juicy painting.
Cool. Nice. And definitely like you knew that that's going to be the dark area. So, whoops. So that's awesome. And then you got some pinks, you've got some colors happening already. And I know you took lots of step pictures, which is
I did. I took more than I actually even put down here, because I was like, oh, don't be ridiculous, Regina. That's enough.
Right. Well, that's good. As long as it's like, if you find it's just for you to try and see if you find it valuable.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Which is handy. It's getting more clear. So in this one, you've probably, you're adding more of a head than you have. So you're having to kind of invent it, right? Or is there, I can't tell if this is a shadow. There is a bit of beak in your reference.
Yeah, and you know what? You can see on the reference photo, I splashed. I got turf all over it.
Oh, okay.
I didn't realize how juicy the brush was. I just got those brushes, and I'm not used to working with natural bristles, so they were like, it was flinging around a lot more than I thought it would.
Awesome. Well, points for flinging paint around always. In my in-person classes, I give a prize like a little prize to the messiest person. So I'll give you a virtual high five.
Ah,
Nice.
look at that. Yeah.
That's cool.
Oh,
You know what
Yeah.
I really love is the pinks in the background that are coming out of the bird. Like, I don't know if that just kind of happened, but that's a nice, like you were asking about backgrounds. And this
edges
is
too.
a beautiful way to make it feel part of the environment. Like, it almost makes it feel atmospheric, right? Like, as if the bird, and it's true in real life, the bird will absorb colors from the air and the light and back and things will reflect. So I really like the way that you ended up having some of the bird colors just naturally, maybe in the surroundings. And I'm curious if is that because no, see the picture, it's not like the picture had pink. Did that just sort of happen, Regina?
Well, I was thinking about how you do your backgrounds, and I was thinking, okay, well, some of it has to maybe echo what's going on with a bird, but then I thought, well, I don't have the pink anyplace else, and I wanted it to, the feet seemed really important. And I thought, if I add some pink, that'll resonate.
Yeah.
It'll look weird if it's just pink there. So I wanted to add some more just to make it resonate a little bit.
Awesome. And, and I bet that was partly intuitive too, which is awesome. Like, it does just feel like it. Are these finger marks? Because, oh my God, I love
Yes.
I love that. Yay. Okay, cool.
Yes, these are finger marks. I can't believe you saw that.
Love it. Oh, I do that. I mean, I try not to, I know it's not healthy, but yeah, love it. It just, I don't know, to me, that's a sign that you just like had to do it, like you're just in it. Love it.
Yeah.
I was actually
You know what?
Pardon?
These are Regina, I travel to Copenhagen as often as I can because that's where I'm from. And this is the kind of art that will get you into some of the finest art schools, because because you've completely stepped out of the what's the word, Mel?
Like representational or
it's like it's so together, and yet you've broken all the rules, but you haven't, but you have. And this is what they put in the finest galleries. It really is. It's just, wow. This one just pops out. So it's just, I'm thinking, well, if you take this to a gallery in Copenhagen, they'll take you in for sure.
Oh, well, I should look into that.
awesome. Yeah, I think what I think
something that's beautifully rendered. They're not interested in that. They want to see this kind of thing where you're going, yeah, I've got the finger marks on it and everything. And you know what? The buyers want that. They're tired of all the rest of it. Yeah. So it's a whole different milieu in terms of art and what you're looking at. Yeah. And it's so refreshing. It's so refreshing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, because it's authentic. It's
yes,
authentic
exactly, Matt. Yeah, it's authentic, and
like
it looks like you had fun doing it.
Yeah,
I actually had I kind of hit a brick wall on
yes.
I was working on it.
Like the Salon Refusé, the back when the Impressionists who said, "Oh, we don't want to do this stuff anymore. We're going to do it this way." So it's similar to that, right? Yeah, yeah.
And so, when did you feel like you hit a brick wall, Regina?
I was really tired. I guess it was Saturday I can't remember which day it was. I was really tired, and I was like, I probably shouldn't even try to. I shouldn't even try to do this today. But I thought, no, I'm not going to sit around and wait till I'm like inspired or something. That's crap. So I was like, all right, just do this. You need to do this homework. And after about a little more than an hour, I stopped and I did some other things. And then I came back and I just added a couple more marks. And then I was like, okay, that's enough. I can't even see where his eye is in the reference photo. So I'm not even going to try to put it in. But I have to say, I've been working on this other big painting for a long time, and it has a long story behind it. I won't go into all of it with you, but it's a robin singing in a snowy scene. And I've been working, like I said, I've been working on it for a long time. And I looked at it and I was like, I got to do this again. It's too tight. It's too, like, I knew that I had a lot more to do with it, but I was like, I need to redo this. Like, I like the soft edges and having things that are, it's so much more interesting to make a suggestion and let the viewer fill it in than to give them every detail and every clue.
Right. So you're feeling you might want to change something that's currently done more tightly.
Yes.
Yeah. Ooh, interesting. Yeah, it's always scary to change stuff. I do I've done that sometimes, and if it's something I've been working on a long time, I try to make sure it's dry, because if it's really dry in the oil, then if you want to go back in and try things, if you do it all in the same day, especially if you're not using a fast drying medium, you can try it and then wipe it back off. You can get back to your square one. So I did graphic design for so long, I often think of edit undo. That's what I do miss in real life. I miss having that ability to go back 5 steps.
Yes.
And so if your painting is really dry, if you're going to try something drastic, like maybe make sure it's really dry, because then you could test it out and then wipe it back off.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah. Or even if you sometimes it's the darks. It's often like if you just look at the darks, that's something you could do is mix up whatever your dark color is. And if the original is nice and dry, just try slapping in a couple really big dark areas and step back and see, like, is this the direction I want to go? Like with softening that up, and just gives you a way to try it out. But yeah, I think this guy has personality, and I think it was, contradicting myself all the time, but it was a good choice to add the beak. Like, I think there's a nice complement between the beak and the tail. It just has like a sweet, genuine quality. Like Inga said, I love your comments, Inga. It's so true that there's a purity that
to it that's just so amazing. I just love it.
And you know what? Like, I don't know if I've ever seen a more pigeony pigeon. Like, it's just it's the colors and the colors, those lavenders. Yeah, and the tail's really neat. I don't know. It's super fun. I would have never chosen the reference pick. I think that it's a tricky one. So it's so interesting to see what you did there, and I really dig it. It's fun.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah. Really, really dig it. Yeah.
Okay, so that's Regina's pigeon. Patty.
The poor thing has no eye.
Oh yeah, that's what you wrote, Regina?
Yeah.
It's okay. Who needs an eye when you have a fancy tail like that? So Pat, I don't know if Patty's not here, maybe?
I'm here.
Oh, you are here. Hi. Okay, sorry.
Hey.
Okay, so can you tell me about your what bird is this and where did you get this?
I took that photograph this winter when I was out west. I've always, I'm from the Southeast, and so I just marvel at these birds. I know that they're probably just the equivalent of some kind of crow or cross between a crow and a jay. I don't know, but they're very very courageous and will come right up to you. And I just love the colors. I love that blue. Yeah,
it's like a way fancier crow.
So I tried to feed the birds when I was out there. I don't know if they really liked what I gave them. I don't know if they're seed eaters or what. I don't know, but they come every morning.
Cool. It's a gorgeous bird. Do you know what it is, Stephanie?
Yeah, it's a magpie. Yeah. It's not the same species you would get in Europe, I assume, because they're not out east, but they look pretty similar.
Yeah, we don't have them in the Southeast. But every time I go out west.
Looks like black-billed. Well, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a black-billed magpie.
Cool. Okay. And so for what I would say for the reference pick that I would be concerned about, that's going to be a bit tough to manage, is this, like, really, there's just nothing you can't see. It's hard with black animals. Like, you just don't have much. It's just a silhouette, like kind of a silhouette graphic shape, right? Like, it's tough to, other than that eye glint, it's tough to get much of the form is harder to do, but you can see it in the white, which is nice. And the colors are, he's gorgeous. And it's kind of a neat, birds sometimes do this with like, you can feel the head tilting and looking up. So it's kind of a cool pose in that way. But I do think there's challenges with that pick to use. And how did you find how did you find painting it? This is your first step, right?
Yes.
Oh, and that's it. So we went from here to here, right?
Right.
Wow. Okay, cool. And you really reduced your color, which is nice. That was kind of the assignment. Yeah. How did you feel about the steps?
I guess that, it was challenging, just, trying to get that posture of the bird,
Mhm.
the tilt of his head and, the weight of him on the bowl.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I like the reduction of shapes that you've got, and you definitely blended like the tail. I'll go to the last one. Like you got some blues in there, and the background's like really yellow, which is kind of interesting. It's a different one. But I think that the tricky part is that, yeah, just all the blacks. Like you've got some whites in here that aren't in the reference, but I guess that's because you're trying to just add like some form, right? Or some interest in the brush strokes.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's tough. Sort of like the chicken one that we were looking at, there's so little, but like the chicken one, it's important to feel like, where does this circle land? And you can see how like the front of the chest and the top of the forehead, or the eye forehead, they're almost line up. And I feel like, yeah, you've got that there more than here. I think something happened here where the head feels a little bit more up, like the line here is different than the connection there. But it's a tough one with that black, but it's such a pretty bird.
That's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I like feeling I can feel your speed in the approach there. And this is a case where the feet are where the feet really are so dark and so contrasty. And if you're going to tell the story about it being on the bowl, I think you kind of almost need to show the bowl, because otherwise, what if it was float? Like, it's a tricky one, because just logistically, if you don't know that's a bowl, you need to know why are the feet there? So it's, in terms of the reference, it's a kind of reference where you almost need to, it's tough to just let the feet disappear, because they're hanging down at that angle. And so it's a tough one, because you're trying to show, I see that you did that bowl there. Like, you do need that was smart, because you have to feel like it's doing something with its pose. But yeah, good job with the paint and the muted colors. It's tough to mute down those beautiful blues. It's a cool bird. And whereabouts were you when you took this?
Steamboat Springs.
Okay. Which state is that?
This Colorado.
Colorado. Oh, cool. I've
Oh.
never seen that bird. That's super neat.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
We have tons of them here in Alberta.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I guess not on the West Coast, just farther in.
yeah.
I don't see it on the West Coast. It's not in my bird book.
No, same. I think it's interior, Inga.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Patty. That's a super interesting bird and a challenging reference pick. Okay, so Inga did a crow, and then Inga, you did some videos.
Yeah, and I did. I was filming on the beach, but I'm not happy with the bird I did. I'm happier with the one that's in flight. I tried to get him to get a good pose, and I think I got a decent pose.
Yeah.
I had put some scone out for him, and he was sitting there, and I was all by myself at this point at the beach, and I tried, and he kept flying back and coming, and then he was getting closer and closer to me. I'd laid it out for him, and he was all by himself, and I was talking to him, and at one point he was clicking away, and I actually, I really enjoyed his company. And then as I was leaving the beach, I turned around, and there he was pecking away at it. So he was just saying, "When are you leaving?" Yeah, when are you leaving? So I can have my scone. Yeah.
So did you had two videos, right? Or is this from the same?
Yeah, it's the same one. And I can't remember which one of the two that I took it from, but I did did take a screenshot of one that I thought,
Okay.
and I tried to get one of flight that I wanted, and then I thought, well, I'll do the one of flight that you have. So I did
Right.
want to do one with flight. Yeah.
Okay, well, in terms of reference pics, like this is what so often happens to me, especially with crows, is if you're looking at a black animal
Yeah.
with a
Yeah.
white sky, you know, and I know you're
Yeah.
waiting for him and you're trying to lure him in, but just
Yeah.
as a learning point, right? This is such a common problem that you ran into
Yeah.
where the sky is bright, the bird is black, so you don't get much detail, and plus it's hard to get close enough to those guys, even with a
And I
scope.
loved all the details that was in him from behind there with all the, you know, and he was preening at some point. And he was clicking away like he was talking to me as if to say, go away, go away. And it was just so much fun. And I had all kinds of other videos, but I chose these ones to share.
Yeah.
And so I did one, and it's here, and it's
Okay.
yeah, it's fine.
So I think what I want to say too is, like, compared to like the first part here with the blue sky, when you're looking into the light,
yeah,
just for everyone to know, not just for you, but like for anyone to know, if you're looking into the sky or up into a tree, you'll often you just can't get much information.
silhouette.
But then
Yeah.
when you turned around, I feel like this is where you could grab some stuff, because we're getting, oops, if I go back a little, it's great that now we're getting some, you're getting some variation of feel the light.
Yeah.
So this would be the section of the video that I would look at if I was grabbing things for sure.
Yeah.
He's cool. And so,
He is
I think this one's similar. So good job. I'm glad you had fun
Yeah,
doing
I
that. It's interesting to think about.
Yeah,
And
I like this. This is the one I chose to do. And,
Yeah.
and I really liked his pose, because it was as if he was clicking away, probably not at me. I think he was calling his friends, and he was because he was by himself. That was my instinct. He was just calling his friends, come on over, this food.
well, that was nice that he would share.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is a beautiful, like, it is a silhouette, but it's a beautiful silhouette, because like you said, like the beak really says crow, these tail feathers are stunning.
Yeah.
Again, like Met Gala level.
Yeah,
Easy.
exactly.
But it is tough with the sky. You're only gonna get so much form showing.
Yeah.
You get some on the head.
Yeah.
Because the face has some light, but I get, so then that's cool. Like, then it's just choosing that your piece is going to be about the outline of the shape versus the form, if that's your reference, right?
Yeah.
And so is this when you started? And
that looks like it's the beak, but that was actually me trying to get the texture of the back of his head, and
right here.
Yeah, that part. Yeah.
And that's fine. And that's what's good to remember, like in those first phases, it's fine. It doesn't matter. You're just plonking in shapes until they fit together the right way. It's hard not to be judgmental, right?
Yes.
And then here you've got the shape more. And I appreciate how you're adjusting to get a little bit of different, like this is darker black compared to the underside, even though you're having to kind of in that a bit.
Yeah.
This is, I don't know, this is cool, because the power of this reference pic, which I'll just flip to, I think is very much about, see this angular, like it's almost like a geometric shape, like just nailing proportions and angles on that are so important. And I feel like that is beautiful. It's beautiful to feel that you put those strokes on there to do that. That is cool. And then this is the next step. And you said, now I'm stuck.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. So again, it's almost like your other one, Inga, where I love this.
I know.
This is like Copenhagen cool, right?
Yeah.
Too, in its handling, because it's what matters. Like, you've done what matters.
Yeah.
Here,
it's a crow. And I even like the wishy-washy trees in the background. So
right.
Yeah.
And it's just deciding where you want to take it. I think the legs, although his legs are doing that, but if you look here, like they feel a little distracting.
Yeah, no, they need to
go
straighten out. Yeah, they're not, he's not that old.
Yeah. But it's because they're like that in the pose. There's like this almost a
Yeah.
diagonal square, like a
Yeah.
diamond there. And then, yeah, just,
Yeah, diamond. That's right. I didn't see that. That's right, Mel. Yeah.
yeah. And it helps to think in those words, but
Yes.
I like, yeah, you have adjusted them here. Now they're more realistic for
Yeah.
sure. And you got a lot more light and soft, but I think you've definitely like corrected things in a great way here too. But I think I loved
I do too. I
Yeah.
know what you're saying. Yeah, I know.
yeah. But I love that you took your own reference and went through, and the blue, like adding some interest into the silhouette was kind of necessary, and it was probably hard to do. Oh, you can sort of barely see it. Is that what you were looking at, Inga?
Yes.
Yeah. And so you needed to, and that was a smart choice to like bring some variation rather than just a completely flat
Yeah.
bird.
Yeah.
Although, I mean, that's a style choice, right? Somebody could make a beautiful piece of art from this by cutting out a piece of black paper in the right way. Like there's multiple ways to handle things, but if you're looking at ways to bring form and brush strokes into it, you did the right thing by adding some of those blues
Yeah.
in a fun way. Nice. Okay, fun. And then this is amazing. You used.
So I painted it upside down first, and
Mhm.
I had this one below it was the one, I think it's yours.
Yeah.
Yeah, from on my iPad. And then I painted it upside down because I didn't know how to blur it, or I hadn't got around to it. I didn't have
Yeah.
time. And so I limited my palette, and then I just carried on, and I just kept going, thinking, okay, I'm going to get this done because I love this pose. I don't know why I love this pose so much. I love flight, I guess.
That's
And
awesome.
so I'm actually quite happy with it, the end result.
Yeah. And so you were playing my video, and did you choose this freeze frame?
Yeah.
Nice work.
Yeah, from yours. Yeah, from the one you gave us.
Super fun. And I love that his wings go off the page. Like it's such an interesting one to do.
Yeah. Well, that's what I liked about it too. Just be different.
Yeah. And again, like it's got such a powerful silhouette.
Yeah.
And it's almost all black, but you can see there's some light here, and you could get some marks into the feathers maybe. And obviously the feet are telling the story.
Yeah, and I
especially-
love those feathers. Yeah, I loved everything about that whole pose. Yeah. Everything
And-
about the feet, everything.
And sometimes same with people. Like when I'm at life drawing, I love it when painting someone who's like laying down towards me in a weird way, like almost when it's so weird like this. I think and turning it upside down, Inga, was smart, because then you really do think just geometric shapes, right? There's less of that now happening in mind. Like you're not thinking wing, you've managed to just do the proper like just a diagonal. This is a diagonal dark. And so you just get the correct diagonal dark.
It off with the rectangle, with the body, the rectangle. I saw the rectangle, and then the head, and then the wings, and then the feet. Yeah.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so you can see even in this beginning, I love, you just slapped in like the correct proportions there.
Yeah.
Tell the story. Oops, and other way is, and then you worked a little more. Still upside down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A
and
little more.
working on the feet, and then I
Turn
love
it right side up.
awesome.
More, and it's done. I think it's done.
I think it's really neat. And I think it's fun how the background gets lighter around the bird, because it feels intentional. Like you're saying, look at these.
I did do it
Yeah.
intentionally. Yeah.
I like that a lot. And I think let me go back to this phase. Yeah, you did a lot. And did you choose to make this a little deeper? I actually dig that.
No, I think I did. You know what, Mel? I don't remember. I think I did.
Yeah. Or at some point, what I think works well, like just from an abstract composition point of view, like this being here emphasizes this swoop of the light, because when you did your very first sketch, you guys, like when Inga did, when you just look at this in a split second, the really important thing is this diagonal, boom. And so
Yeah.
then when you look back at the final one, whoops, wrong way. Same thing. You've got this, like it's an emphasis of that diagonal, the head and the like nice dangly feet. It's a crazy pose. I love that you took that on. And I'm happy that you're happy with the results. I think you should be.
Yeah.
It's fun. He's so
Yeah.
happy. And it's a tough thing to get to paint a bird in flight. It feels uplifting, right? Like there's a psychology around it too. Of
Yes.
like,
Yes.
what-
Well, I'm in my dreams. I'm always flying.
really? Oh,
Yes, always.
awesome.
I hover. I just sort of levitate.
That's good. Nice.
Fly off. Yeah.
Okay, well, good job, Inga. You did a
Thank
lot of homework.
Thank you. I had so much fun. I just had so much fun. Yeah. Thank you. It was
Cool.
good.
Did anyone else have? Let's see. Oh yeah. Oh, this is Inga. Sorry, still in Inga. Roberta. We did Roberta's. Oh no, Roberta, you did a raven from your own imagery too. I want to look at those.
Yeah.
Okay. So are these two the same shot?
Yeah, I had started with it blurred and upside down.
Awesome. And how did that feel? And how did you blur it?
In Photoshop or
Okay. Cool. So
something.
you have Photoshop.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, awesome. It's so interesting to me that your choice of, I guess, of color and value it's different than the image, but it's working. But you're intentionally choosing to these are really this is really blended here between the wing and the background, and same in yours, but yours are in just a nice muted colors that you did. And then, whoops, sorry, wrong way. And then you flipped it around. Cool. And in this, and then you've got blues. Your colors are so nice. Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
That's nice. At what point do you think you flipped it? Was it pretty soon after this picture?
Yeah, it was. And I get painting and I forget to take process photos. So I get too into it.
Yeah, I'm seeing, you know what I'm finding really interesting is this mark here, like this decision to kind of join it a little, which is kind of interesting because in the reference, it's actually harder there. And like, I do think the whole bird is working beautifully well. And always like you get like, it's like your colors are cohesive, but they're also a rainbow of color. Like it's so cool to me that you're kind of inventing what you're putting here and it's working. Yeah, and you've got the light, like, I don't know. One thing that's interesting to me is like the light is hitting this guy or girl from this angle. And if you were to emphasize the light, you'd almost put like a dark edge here. Like there is kind of a hard edge there. And yet there's also light coming from above that you've got. So there's a lot of light from a lot of directions. And it's a beautiful bird, my God, with the blue on the top and the warmth underneath. I think, you know, pardon?
That's
A raven?
yeah. Is
Yeah.
it a raven or is it a crow?
I don't know. I thought it was a raven. Maybe it's a crow.
Stephanie?
Beautiful. All that blue. Yeah, all that blue on.
I think it's a crow, actually. Like the raven, you would have the more noticeably thicker bill, but I'm
Yeah.
not sure.
I bet it's a beautiful blue sky because it's very blue
Mm-hmm.
on him.
But you can just see hints of blue in the bottom corner
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
It's a young one. It looks like a young one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm just tempted to look at this in Photoshop for a sec if we want to, and then I think then we'll better take a break. Let me just open that up. Whoops. Come on. Oh, jeez. There we go. Okay, I'm going to just share this in Photoshop because I'm so curious to actually try this. With this painting of Roberta's, there's so many different ways you could take it. Like I think what you've done, Roberta, is gorgeous. And actually I'm so almost Oops, I've got a screenshot of us. Haha, okay, let me. Let's just do this. Okay. Are you guys, you're seeing the
Mhm.
those birds now? Okay. Okay, let's just do that. I kind of missed the top of the head, but that's okay. Yeah, what I was noticing that I just kind of want to try out digitally for almost just for the fun of it, because there's so many, there's different, like you've made a lot of your own smart and cool value choices, but it's so different than the reference that it's almost blowing my mind. Like, I think for me, I would have felt that I needed to have this edge kind of hard there because of how that is, you know what I'm saying? And then the, like, I see that for me, those couple shapes being sharp almost feel important. I'm not sure, but I'm not suggesting even that you change it. I'm just kind of looking at, I'm almost blown away by the different way it could be done. Like if that, I don't know if that's better, or obviously this is not very pretty, but the edges that I'm looking for are in, I'm just going to exaggerate it. Almost.
Yeah, well, the way I'm seeing it too is that with maybe 3, that's good, 3 harder edges, because it's so beautifully soft all
Yeah.
throughout. It might just need the harder edges just to define the bird a little more, I think. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm almost just curious about it.
Yeah.
And the reason to do anything would be to make the whole piece, like the whole rectangle, work well. It currently is working really well. So this would be like a different way. Like I'm concerned, like if I do this, is this going to change the whole rectangle, like the whole piece? Or is it going to make the bird feel more of a form? I'm not sure.
If you crop out on the right side of her painting, that darker value that's on the extreme right, it changes, it changes the whole thing.
Like if this was lighter?
Yeah.
Like it, I don't know whether that's a good thing or not either. I'm just kind of doing like a crude thing to just experiment. It's fun to think about. The beak too, like again, like the other one, I wonder if some darks keep being a bit more joined. Whoops, that was too much, but this beak detail, it really does exist, but is it, I don't know, and might just soften it down a smidge. And I actually really dig the light. This brush is too big, but like right in there, I kind of dig that. I don't know. Oops, that's not even, I'm gonna go brighter. Anyway, I'm really just messing around, Roberta, because I think your piece is beautiful and I'm just curious about the edges. So I'm not certain if I would change a single thing, but I'm just interested in how you were able to, just the choices that you made, they do work, and they are like so many gorgeous colors. So here's, whoops, here we go. That's like Roberta's original, and then I don't know, like I don't think I like those brush strokes, but yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I guess like you'd have to decide, and maybe I didn't make a decision. What do you want the focal point to be?
Right.
And then make the decision on edges from there.
Yeah, you're right. And I'm really glad you asked, or you stated it that way, because that was one thing I wanted to think about. It was almost like when you first look at the reference image or a model in front of you or anything, or a photograph or a landscape, like what do you, and that is I'm genuinely going to ask you, Roberta, like, what do you like best about this reference pic?
And I'm going to say, like, this one, it has competing focal points, because it's like the light on the head, but then that blue.
Yeah, totally.
And I think, like, for me, it would probably be that blue on the back of the wing there.
Right.
That's what grabs me. So I think maybe that darker to really emphasize that.
Yeah, oops, that's not right. But yeah, that's an interesting point. Like if that was going to be, what if this, obviously this is really crudely done, but if that was really bright, and if if you tone down the highlights on the bird, like, I don't know, it's not the right color, but I was just kind of curious if that would, yeah, that kind of makes it about the blue, you know,
Mhm.
in a really crude, fast way. This isn't really,
Yeah. But I think like when I was painting it, I'm probably thinking, well, it's always the eye is always the focal point.
But
You
it
know,
doesn't,
like people and birds and or animals and stuff. It's usually the face that you
yeah,
want to have.
I can show you a pigeon with one eye, with no eyes.
yeah. It's psychologically, the eyes draw you in so much. And
My bird, yeah.
I think sometimes it's interesting to not make that, like in this case, this eye did get lit, but
Mhm.
I think it could be reduced. Yeah, and choose the blue or the white. I think you're really right, Roberta, in that the reference image is beautiful, but it almost has two things, two light sources, or two light or color things happening.
Yeah, competing.
Like, fun to choose which one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think what you did is beautiful, and not saying you should even change it. It was just fun to play around with that and think about what's standing out the most right now for me would probably be yeah, I guess because these lights are light, I almost want to push that more so and give us just even just a bit like that, like just kind of give that a bit more of a push.
Mhm.
Not sure. But yeah, I think you did a good job, and it's a beautiful reference picture too.
Thanks.
And I'm just going to check if we've done everybody's extras. I think we need a break probably. Where are we? Okay. There we go. Yeah, so we done, I think that's everyone. Stephanie didn't have a different one, did you? No.
No, I
Okay.
meant to.
You meant to. Yeah, taking bird reference can be tricky. Okay, I think that's great. Really good job, you guys, on all the homework, and thanks for sitting through all the thinking about it. I hope it's helped you, yeah, look at other people's work too and reference efforts. Yeah, it's good. Good job taking video and photos and everything and doing it. So let's take a little break. It's like actually almost 12. So why don't we come back in about 10 minutes at 12 o'clock here. I don't know what time it is where you are. And then we'll I'll get a picture. I can go through, I don't know, you can let me know. Do you want to spend more time on the choosing an image from my video or actually painting it? We could maybe hopefully we can do both. I think
Let's try for both.
Yeah, both. Paint for sure.
paint for sure. Okay, then I will promise that we will get painting by about 20 past. Like we'll just kind of spend 20 minutes-ish on the choosing the picture and getting it set up. So let's set up paints. I'm going to put out pretty much my full palette because I'm not sure what I'm doing. Which you could do too, or you can squeeze it out as we go. Because I may not use every single. Yeah, and we'll paint something, maybe a seagull. I think that might be fun. It's different. It had some chickens.
Oh, yeah. Oh, a seagull. Woo, I've never painted a seagull.
Yeah, I have a little seagull video. It's kind of cute. I saw. So, okay, we'll come back in 10 minutes. We'll look at the seagull. We'll get them all ready to paint and then we'll do it. Okay. Okay. See you in a minute.
Good.
Thanks. Yeah. Okay. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Hope you had a snack or something. And let's do a quickie choice of reference pick. I'm going to just walk you through how I do that. So first off, I'm just going to load that up. I was in Sydney, BC with my mom and my sister for Mother's Day. So we were, I mean, not that there aren't seagulls where I live on Salt Spring, but there was a kind of a great seagull posing for me. So I'm going to share that to you. And we'll just watch the video together. Here he is. Okay. You're seeing my seagull, I hope.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Sec. I lost it. It's there, but I just need to find it for me. Okay. Yeah. have like so many windows. Okay, so here's a seagull. And what I liked, which is, oops, it's going to be both the challenge and the good thing about this is the muted colors. Whoops. So when I'm going to try playing that again, or I'm just going to drag it actually. So there's so many different head angles that were happening here. I mean, looking down is actually kind of fun, but I don't know if it would make the best painting. And again, with the head going down again and looking back and forth. So it's a pretty typical pigeon pose or seagull pose. I think what I kind of really love is the subtlety and difference between the colors here. And I think because it was, you can tell it was kind of that golden light time where the color things really flatten out. And I think there's quite a beautiful thing I can see here where the top of it is blue.
Mhm.
Down here is really quite warm and pink. Like, you know, we were talking about the solidity of like, if that was a ball, like you can picture a ball here, right? Where it's dark on the bottom and the blues on top. And it's interesting that even though this is being lit, the background is lighter. So in that case, the background's lighter. In this case, the background is barely darker. So this is what I was interested in about the seagull. And I also just think seagulls are nice and weighty and dorky kind of in a way that I love. So, whoops, I just want to be able to see. There you are. Yeah, so I think I had a second video too. I did. Oh no, that was just a, oh yeah, this is. So this is closer up and he's turned a little more horizontally, which I think is actually less interesting. Like that's nice. Like it's a typical pose, but if I was to paint, I would probably paint that in a horizontal format if I was centering the bird. It's just kind of so typical. It's like a person posing in a chair in a normal way, whereas maybe I think that was Stephanie we were talking about last time, how like proper bird books will have, you know, this would be the pose because you can see the whole bird and you can tell its proportions. But I think the other video is more interesting. And facing face on like that, it almost like gives the viewer has to figure out what it is for a second. It might draw them in more because if this is all muted colors, quite cohesive, I think that could be interesting. So let's let's choose a moment. And I'm thinking it's neat to see how even if you don't choose the moment, what's interesting for me to see right here, you know how we were doing those concentric circles on the chicken? There's like the head and this whole neck, like when he's moving up and down like that, you kind of see there's like that oval, just deciding what to do. How much profile of beak do we want to have?
I liked it further back when his beak was just touching the dark of the wing.
Okay, I'm gonna go back. Tell me when, Roberta. Oh, like when it was
Little bit.
No,
was the beak facing down, Roberta, or?
Yeah.
Okay,
keep going. Right there.
Ooh. Yeah, that's cool, but I think that it might be like if this was all blurred, it might be confusing.
Yeah.
As to what's beak and what's not. I don't know. I kind of like this is neat as well, but then if you were to make this a composition for a painting, the question, your eye will be drawn down and think what's he looking at? So your eye would go right down here, and I'm not sure if I like that. I think I want to do one where it's maybe something, I forget, where did I have it? When I was talking about the colors, I liked that point. The eye is very black, right? In the center of there, and I don't know. I love that.
what about that middle range between the base of his body and his beak, kind of when
The
he's
color?
kind of way bent, starting to bend down, but there's still that space in between. I don't know if that makes any sense. So when he's,
You're talking about the pose,
yeah, when he's starting to look down about halfway there. Yeah, no, further.
Oh, yeah. Like that
Um,
kind of.
No, no, yeah, no, yeah, well, that one, yeah, I don't know.
All right. Okay. I'll just have to pick one. I think maybe I'll just go with not too sideways. I want it to feel a little bit like looking at you. I don't know.
Yeah.
But okay. Oh my gosh, why didn't I stop it where I had it? Okay. We'll just pick. Like, I think that's kind of a bit too
Yeah.
boring. I want it. Whoops, went out of focus there too. I definitely want that blue top thing happening.
Yeah.
Oh, and then he does all this business. Okay. Right, that. I really do spend too much time on this, but it's important for what
Yeah.
feels.
Yeah, it is.
I guess the benefit of taking photos is you just don't have the choice. You just use the photo you took, but I kind of like something about that because
Yeah.
because tilt.
That bit underneath the beak, yeah, too.
Yeah. Okay, let's just go with that. So what I will do is sometimes I'll zoom in a bit just to get the resolution better and take a screenshot. Whoops. I mean, the background's lovely. Like, I think it could actually be interesting to have these mountains and things could be kind of neat, but I'm not gonna do that today. I'm just gonna focus on a bit of a seagull sketch in those colors. So I'm gonna just let me get this organized and I will bring it up for you in Photoshop. And I'm gonna actually be able to add these to the chat so that you can, let me just do this one right now. Seagull regular. I'll put this in the chat right quick so that you can have a minute. Whoops. So that you can have a minute to gather it if you want to have it ready. So here we go. Chat. Because I'll make a blurred version as well, but here's Seagull regular. I'm just throwing that into the chat window. If you can see it or screenshot it or save it to your device, you'd be able to look at that. And then I'm gonna just bring up my Photoshop. Pardon?
Blur, you're gonna blur now?
I think I'll do a blurred version, although I don't know, we don't need it too much. I think it might be helpful to at least have, let me also, first off, let's do a even upside down version. Actually, before I even do that though, I uploaded the seagull, but I want to think about the shape. So I'm going to try to keep this to just a few more minutes so we can get painting. But I have a piece of canvas ready that's 9x12 or sort of 8x10 size. So that's another thing to think about, of course, is what sort of shape you're going for. What's the composition, you know? So just to show you real quick, there we go. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be like a commercial for Photoshop and it's expensive. You can do most of this stuff on your phone for free. I think you can make a choice of ratio. This is 8x10. So in thinking about where to, it's worth thinking about where to position the bird. It would change the mood if there's, is there room for him to look on the right or left? I think I'm just going to keep it basic today, but that is something to consider if a person or thing is looking one direction, sometimes it's nice to have a little space or consider where that line will land and bounce off the edge of the canvas. Like, cropping matters, but we're not going to go too much into that today. Let's just sort of crop it like that ish. And I'm going to quickly look at the, oops, that's weird. Okay. Yeah. I'll flip it around or blur it. Okay, so in Photoshop, I don't know if you're seeing my tools, but I use Gaussian blur in Photoshop. That's quite a lot. And it's really apparent how cohesive those colors are, isn't it, when you blur it like this? But maybe I'll do that just for fun. I'll save a blurry version for you and put that in the chat right now. JPEG file is probably best. Okay. And I'll rotate it.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Right, I guess the drawback is you gotta wait for me to do the saving, blur, rotate. Blurred and rotated version, save for you real quick. And I think it might be helpful to have a version that is not blurry, but upside down, if that makes sense. All right. Get all of these into the chat, just 1 second. Crop, save, and I'll rotate it 180. I'll save that. Okay. Okay. So that now, and let's see what I can add. There's the cropped version. The rotated version. I'll give you all the versions.
Thank you.
Yeah. So that's blurry right way up and blurry upside down. It says blue rotate, but it means blurred. Blur rotate. Okay, there's all that. All right. So 12:25, and let's get ready to paint. So I'm gonna let me pin my phone. There. Are you seeing my canvas now?
Yes.
Guys, okay. Here we go. Okay, and I'm just gonna think for a second. I'll just share. 1 second. Let me share. Whoops, no. Thinking about what to start with. Okay, now I just want to open up all the versions for here as well. I hope you guys are getting them ready. Okay, throwing those into there. Okay, let's think about this for 1 sec before we start. You're seeing the seagull, right? So we've got clear, rotated. Yeah, that's uncropped, which you don't need, but you might want to. It would actually be pretty cute in a square. Ooh. but let's stick with rectangle since I cropped it, but I kind of like that. Okay, let's start with blurry and upside down because why not? And right away, when I look at it like this, I'm thinking about the composition. I don't love this dark rectangle at the base. I think it's going to be important that it feels like he's standing on something, but I kind of don't want that to stand out as much as it does, even in this upside down blurry composition. I think I would like it to be, I might tone down the contrast on that base. Yeah. So if you've got that, I'm gonna look at that and I've got all my colors out, which I'll just show you quickly. We don't feel seasick here. You know, super messy, but I've got asphaltum, a cool red, a warm red, the cadmium red, cad yellow, medium, yellow ochre, white, cad yellow light, cerulean blue.
Yellow, right.
Yeah.
Is that the warm yellow?
I've got both. I've got cad yellow light and
Oh, cad yellow light, okay.
white, cerulean, phthalo, and ultramarine. Sometimes I've been adding that lately in case I want like a warmer blue. I used to always pretty much just have phthalo. Yeah, and I hope that is close enough for you to see.
Yep.
And since I'm just trying to get so I can also see my, whoops. Wow. Okay. Organized. I can see my reference. And you can see my canvas, right? Okay, so we've got a blurry upside down guy to start from. And I'm going to use, let's see. Canvas is pretty big, and I'm gonna, maybe this light might help.
Yeah, I think maybe I'll use my 12. I think I'll use my 12, just challenge myself. Okay.
Using a big brush, Inga?
Yes, I'm working on a 6 by, I think it's 8 or 6 by 6 square with the 12.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so yeah, you can do square if you want.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, if you wanted it to be rectangular, you could just chop part off, but if it's already
Yeah,
small.
no, it's fine. No,
Yeah, sorry, did I tell you guys to do square?
no.
Okay.
No.
I thought the materials list, I probably did say square for that first exercise, but yeah. I think it doesn't matter.
No, I'll be all right.
If you do have only square, then yep, you can have less of the place he's sitting on and add more background, or you could, you know, just draw a line right now to make the square into this proportion to work on.
Ah, right. Yes.
I brought, I'm glad I left this here to remind myself, whoops, this color wheel I brought because this is something I look at a lot for painting. It's thinking a little bit about complementaries. So this bird that we're seeing, let me see. I'm going to leave him up in my window, or does that make it take over? Oh yeah. Now you don't see my, I'm trying to say, now you don't see my canvas, do you?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
All right. Can't do that. Anyhow, the bird is has some nice blues and peachy colors going on, which are sort of complementary, which is nice to think about. And the background color, I just tinted this morning real quick with a warm color, thinking about that I love the pale blues in the picture. But I'll quite often, if I'm looking at anything, like say birds, like often the sparrows, for instance, if we were painting those sparrows that I often do, they're often in this sort of warm range. And so sometimes it's fun to think it might be cool to tint the canvas the opposite color, just to have some lively things going on, whether it's a deep version or a
Oh, great.
version. But these color wheels
Yeah.
in hand, just sort of, I actually have it where I can glance at it to think about, yeah, complementary colors. Often, sometimes even if, especially when I was trying to do that thing where I was pushing myself to use crazy background colors. It's, if I made a yellow, say for instance, with the birds where I had a yellow background, then it's sort of neat if I can get some blues and lavenders into the bird. It will just bounce nicely against the background color. Just a tool that I like to have nearby. Like, okay. Well, so I've got I'm going to use Galkid and a little bit of Gamsol on my brush. And I'm just going to make I think often a good place to start is to think about darks, but not the super darks. I'm going to aim to be making a color that is sort of kind of neutral and 1/2 or 3/4 dark, to just start those indications of shape. So I'm mixing some asphaltum, ochre, and cerulean right now. And I'm getting a color that is not as dark as the darkest parts of that tummy. And it's a little greenish, which I'm realizing that's going to be kind of nice because it's sort of opposite to the background. So this is the kind of color that I made. I might warm it up a little bit. Okay, so just in terms of, I'm actually going to plan that this might be 8 by 10 in the end, whereas this canvas you're looking at is 9 by 12. So I'll just kind of just think about that. So I have a bit of leeway, just like we were discussing with my portraits, because then if I want to, I could crop it a little bit either direction and not be stuck with my exact placement. I go now. Yeah. So if that's my, there's a bit of a base there, and the bird is kind of here. If we think of it in the most simple terms, I know we can't see the edge, but for placement, I kind of want, it's a bit of a triangle like this. I'm going to exaggerate it a little, right? If we were to just think abstractly about this upside down composition, that's sort of what I'm seeing. Maybe even a bit wider on there. And I don't often draw things out, but I want to just sort of graphically show you the way I'm thinking. Yeah, darks, and I can be pretty liberal because this isn't super black, right? I still have room to get darker later, and there's going to be a nice curve there. That's important.
I mean, way bit too. My brush is huge.
Oh yeah, your brush is huge.
It's massive because the area just got smaller, but I'm sticking to it. I'm just gonna
Okay.
stick.
It'll make you have to be very general.
Yes.
And you may have to use the edge of it, and you can also wipe away if you get too big.
Okay. Right. Okay.
That can help. I'm thinking a little bit in terms of value here. I know that I love how blue this is going to be, but I'm sort of just putting that dark there to remind myself. Okay, and there's legs. I feel like maybe my proportions are a little off on this. The amount of air, I feel like there should be a little more air between here and here. We'll make it feel a bit more lifted. So I'm gonna just remember that. I was saying I don't really like the emphasis on this really dark deck, so I'm gonna actually just remember that might be a bit lower. I also want to remind myself that I love how the knees are a bit chunky here. Actually, I think that's quite a bit of character, will be quite a bit of character in the end, is the way that the two knees are sort of different. This one is a bit longer, and this one's a little bit higher position. I just think that says a lot about the bird's stance. Okay, this is probably a bit too dark there, but I'm gonna adjust that after. All right. I'm actually just going to take a screenshot of this for myself, and also I could upload it for you later to see the steps. I would call that like just a super initial step.
Where's my phone? I'll do the same.
Yeah, take a pic if you want. This beak isn't, I can tell that's not quite right. That's okay. Yeah, just quickly noticing that the line between the edge of the bird here and the beak is quite similar, with the body coming in a little. Sort of thinking about that. Okay, so the next thing I would do is maybe make a puddle of a color that feels like an average color. So I'm gonna make what I see on the birds. Actually, let me just show you a sec. Back to seeing this guy. I'm thinking about making a color that I feel is kind of this average. And once I have that color, I'm going to be able to be able to see the difference between this and the background. Like if I have this color, I know the background is going to be a little lighter and pinker. And I want to kind of do it at once. Like we can see this beautiful area. See how that there's no edge there. That's the same. So let's make sure we get that color right across here. I would also get the same color all up in here. But obviously this blue is different. So I'm going to just kind of wherever I see the color I see the most of is this. I want to get a puddle of that to be starting with, and everything will be in comparison to that. The pinks are going to be really fun. And I'm going to keep it blurry and upside down for now, just while I get that going. And we're 12:38, so I'm going to hustle because I want you to see some of this process. Plus, we all know it has more life when it's done quick.
So you're mixing a pinky color?
Yeah, I want to make the color I see in the center of the chest.
Yeah, okay, right.
So what I'm using, I will say, is yellow ochre, kind of my favorite color all the time. A little smidge of asphaltum, and I think I'm going to use a cadmium, a darker, like a cool cadmium though.
Oh,
Cool, or a quinacridone. I would stick with, I wouldn't go with a hot, too much of a hot color. But it doesn't matter as long as it's something you see and like that's in the middle of that seagull's chest. Because that, if you pick that as your kind of baseline, you can then adjust from there. Okay, let's see. And I always have to sort of test it out on the canvas anyhow. See if it's where I want to start from. So I can give you I'll give you a quick view of what I was making. Is this kind of color, which is made from some ochre, this, I think that's a quinacridone red, and a little bit of asphaltum. I'll touch a tiniest bit of white, but I'm trying to stay away from white until we're ready for it. I guess, and I'll see how that feels on there. That feels really a bit too dark to me. So I think I will add white. This whole painting is quite muted, which I love. When I just added white there and it got really pink, because white will sometimes do that. So I had to kill it down with a tiny bit of cerulean. So it takes time to kind of get a starting point. I do want this to be that's better. I feel like that's a bit grayed down from before. Okay. Just want it a little pinker. A little lighter. Okay, I'm feeling okay with that as a beginning point. It's a bit dark, So I'm gonna, as I work here, I'm lightening it up with some yellow and ochre. Sorry, some white and ochre. Which then gets a bit intense, so I'm adding some blue. I'm gonna give you another quick peek at my palette, because I think this is the sort of rate, this is what I had, and then I added some white, but it gets too pink, then I add a little bit of the cerulean blue or asphaltum. So I'm kind of just getting myself like almost like a little range of piano keys there that are in the same family. So I'm already thinking about variation.
Mel, you maybe answered this already, but do you change your brush throughout?
I don't, I tend not to, which is kind of unusual. So I don't know that I recommend it. It's just what I do. I seem to be able to wipe enough, and also my paintings are pretty muted and muddy, so I don't mind that. If you wanted more clarity, or sometimes I will grab a second one of the same size. For instance, if I know I want to be working in the light and then working in the dark, I will sometimes switch it around. But yeah, I do tend to use the same brush.
That's good to know.
Yeah, which is weird. I do a lot of wiping, like every time I'm switching. And this is looking super ugly, just like I would want it to right now. I'm gonna get in with a bit of a darker color. I'm gonna show you my palette again, because I think this is, you see how I've kind of got this like rainbow going on? So I almost have a lot to work with there. And on the left, I was putting in some asphaltum and phthalo, because I'm noticing that I want to be a bit braver with where these darks are, and almost have them be softly blended into that. And kind of keep it really vague and just think almost like a ball, or like just what is this general shape and placement? Let's decide where that base is too. I want it a bit bluer. Okay. And I'm gonna hustle because our time is kind of short. That's okay. And I could even take a stab at where that eye area is. Okay, back to what I loved was the way the chest, finding the place where the chest blends to the background here. I do want to figure out what color I'm going for. It needs to get lighter and a bluer and greener a little bit. Okay. Oops, that might have been too much, but that.
Blue, she's
So subtle.
blue. Oh, right. Blue with the white.
I'm spending a lot of time mixing, sorry, it's just feeling like that's needed. What I'm making right now, I want to have a color on my palette that is close to the background tint. Because I know it's going to be important to figure out what is that behind the seagull color going to be. I'm finding it so much later than I thought. That's still greenish. Shocking. Okay. A bit better. I just want to be able to have that on my palette. some of this around. Okay, so right away, just looking for which shapes are jumping out at me as needing to be corrected or emphasized. And I want to know that I can have this under here, although actually I'm going to need to do those legs first. It's always nicest if you can do the darks first and then come in with the light. So I didn't quite get enough in on those legs. And while I don't want to go dark, I do want to have a bit deeper. And greener. I should probably show you mostly what I'm doing is on my palette, but I'll show you that again. Like I'm getting a bit more into this deep range and then all the way along there. Better. I want to make sure I have these guys in. Okay. Now. Now making some colors that have a little bit of blue in them as I get towards that blue edge with cerulean. This head is actually fairly dark. Although we're not supposed to even think in nouns yet. I'm just gonna do a couple more minutes and then we're gonna flip it so that we can get going. May as well throw some of this down since I have it. I'm seeing the place that has quite a bit of chroma right here. And I maybe want to edge up to that rather than do it right away, but that's something on my mind. Good. This background I want to be a bit darker and still kind of warm and pinky behind the head. Like that.
I had to move my iPad because it was down to 10%. I forgot to plug it in.
Okay.
So it's halfway across the room. So it's, but I can still see you.
Okay.
It's all good. Just
All
if
right.
you want what's going on. Yeah.
I'm just trying to get some super fast coverage here. I'm seeing that the canvas color is the lightest thing right now, so I'm killing some of that down intentionally with muted colors because I want to be able to, I'm looking at which edges are I want to add in edges and colors, and they're going to be in some of these areas. So I want this blended where it can be. I'm just working real fast. We may not get through this quite, but we'll get a good start. Okay. And there's not a huge difference in the darkness between the beak and the head there. Again, I'm trying not to use nouns, but I need to tell you where I'm working down here. There's not a big difference in darkness. It's not like a massive difference. So that's something I'm thinking about. I'm getting that. I want to think about this angle so that I'm going to be able to cut in with hopefully a beautiful hard edge. Almost pre-planning for it. And just again, going a little bit to the darks here. I want this to be a bit nicer and darker and connected to the leg. A nice dark in there. That is. Okay. I'm gonna flip it around and keep it blurry, because I think there's a lot to be done. Okay, not loving it, but I can work with it. And I know we're getting short on time. Is it, Joe, do you need to cut off recording and go?
Nope.
Okay, maybe we can go, if we can go a little over, I'm happy to, if you guys are.
Okay, great.
Okay. I'll try to get most of it in here quickly so that people that don't have the time can see. I'm noticing that tummy area there is nice and warm and a bit darker. I would like that to feel a bit more there. White is so strong and it really cools things down. I found that was it was easy to get too pale. Adjusting that. And you know, it's hard to see in the reference, but you know, we were talking about those three. I'm trying to feel right now, there's sort of an oval here of the neck that I can almost, it's really hard in the blurry reference, but I can kind of feel it in his posture, that there's the need for like a little bit of a, you know, almost like a second cylinder happening there. Okay. Just want that. I'm going to warm up that knee a smidge. I made it too big, but that's okay because I'm going to cut in with the background. Almost setting up for it and just making sure I have a nice bit of color there. I'll probably need to finish this tonight and upload it for you guys.
This is our last class. It is, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is, but you'll be able
Yes,
to,
it is.
you'll be able to access it.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. That's great. Yeah.
Yeah, so those knees are huge, but I'm just leaving it for now because I'm trying to get in some color where I see it. And I'm noticing that the head in the reference is definitely off center. Like I feel like this is way too wide, which is fine because it's actually always nice to come in with that background color. Let's see. I'm attempting to make the color that I want to go right here. That's closer. And I feel that the head itself is a bit too dark. Okay. Be fun to lay some blue on there. Right now what I'm mixing is the color I see that I want to test out something right under here. See how light and how blue. That's a bit too blue, maybe. I was sort of feeling that out. And it goes right, you know, it blends right down there. I need to get rid of that canvas color that is showing through here because it's messing up my thinking a little. Making a bit of a muted blue gray to see how that feels. That's not the worst. It's at least closer. You know, all the time, I think it was Stephanie that was like, what gets you closer? What's the most annoying? The most annoying thing to fix, and that was bugging me. What's real important is to get this head scale and position, and I think I need to reconsider that a bit. It's supposed to be done in 2 minutes. Can we do it? I love oil for the ability to do just what I was kind of doing there, which is like mixing them together. I think that forehead blue would be important.
Mine's looking not even close to a seagull. Anyway, so.
Mine's not either. Mine's not either. Angus.
Actually, really like it. It's really good to see though. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, for as long as possible, if you're just thinking
Yeah, the shapes and stuff. Yeah.
yeah. And if the
I
shape
really like where you're at now, Mel.
you do, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a
I
little-
almost think you could be done at that stage.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm really interested though in how the color, like the colors are different, but the value is the same right here in the reference, not on the beak though. I'm not going to go to the clear image quite yet because I still want to get the general color pattern down. I want to make that exactly correct color. I mean, and correct only means correct as as compared to what it's beside. It doesn't even have to be like correct against the reference. It's like what works compared to what else you've put down. So like if this is going to be this color, then this needs to be similar. I think that mark there feels like it's important to have to describe the beak or the seagull expression. And yet it's too sharp. And I'm going to make a halfway color to make sure that's like, yeah, see that's already feeling more connected. And the same blueness is there on the neck.
So are we not, after this one, are we posting on the Padlet? Are we?
You can, it's kind of over, but I will look at and type back a couple comments if you guys want. If you can post it in the next couple days, I'm willing to do that.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm really crunched time-wise, so
Okay. if you have to go,
I'll do what I can because I'm going to make time for it. So if it's, so you say in 2 days or so, right?
yeah,
It's only fair to you. Yeah. Okay.
that's fine.
Fair
Or you can email me, Inga.
All right.
And the recordings will be available for up to 3 months.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
I read that, Joe. Thank you. That's fantastic. Really appreciate it.
That's great.
That's so great. Thank you.
Sure.
Because I like to go back and just maybe paint, paint along again, like that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's getting a little better. The legs. This needs to be soft. Okay, I almost I'm gonna do 2 more minutes and then I just want to hopefully, just because the recording's still on, I'm gonna do a couple minutes and then I'd like to just do like a wrap up few words, and then I will probably keep working on this today and I can upload it for you guys. But I feel like there's something better happening now.
Oh, because I'm way far away from it, Mel, from where I'm
Yep.
standing. It's done from where I'm standing.
Okay. I don't know. The challenge is that I want some eye, but I want it to be soft. And I haven't even looked at the clear version yet, right? I feel like those legs are quite black. I'm gonna hit them with a bit of chroma that's lighter, but that's the nice thing. Like even that's kind of fun to lay that on top. In a couple spots. It's getting seagull-y. The thing that's bugging me, it's interesting because my phone is in front of me. I'm seeing it at a thumbnail size. So probably sort of like you see it, Inga. And
Yes.
it's helpful. It's helpful because it reduces it to the basics and it lets me see the part. I want this softened up.
Yeah.
Couple things that I can see are a bit, because at this phase, everything may as well be real soft because I can hit a few hard things later, but that's getting there. Let's take a stop there. I just took a screenshot as well that I can upload. And here, let me see. Spotlight. Okay. So there's me. Let me just grab my notes one sec. Because yeah, I wanted to just reiterate a few things that was like our main point. Oh my gosh, look. Got paint on me. Yeah, the main point about edges and moods, like choose a few hard edges is a top tip. Try working from either blurry reference or blurring your eyes. And yeah, think about why blurry edges, or why paint a bird at all, or why paint this particular reference image you have. Like, what do you like about it? I had said about this seagull that I liked the cohesive, really mutedness. So I think as I go forward, I'm actually going to try to bring the value range even less, like just keep a few real darks, or maybe even boost, like I just did with the knees. I reduced the contrast because I like the fact that there's little contrast in that guy. Yeah, and just the pose, like does it feel like a round, weighty object with a gesture like that suits the bird or whatever it is you're painting? Yeah, those were the real thing. Just try some new approaches. I'm super impressed with you guys painting quick when you're not used to it, trying a big brush, doing multiples, and yeah, really fun to see your homework. It's so exciting. And you know how excited I get about the beginning phases because it's the most you. And I think the point of painting loosely is maybe to be more yourself. I think it's awesome if you can do that, because anybody can do it. Kind of, not anybody, it's really hard, but eventually anybody could do it tightly and perfectly, but only you can paint loosely like you can. No one else really can be quite the same. So yeah, I hope you had fun.
Oh, it's been fantastic, Mel. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
It really has. And it's just the right time, isn't it? And the critiques have been really, really helpful they've been, you know, looking at them and learning from each one that each individual did and the different styles. I think there's a lot to be said for doing that, you know, because we can learn from each other. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm really thankful for those of you participating like that. I think it makes it richer for everyone. And yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed hearing each other's critique and especially thinking about the reference that you choose for yourself. It's tough and it matters a lot. So yeah, keep trying that and feel free to use my stuff that is in the video, make more paintings. Yeah. If you
It
want
was
to-
wonderful, Mel.
Oh, thanks.
It was great. And I second that too. Everybody was so generous in sharing their homework, and it's so helpful to look at, you know, for all of us to look at things together. So yeah, and you were great, and I love seeing your work and you're talking about that, and I learned so many wonderful things. So thank you so much, Mel.
Yes, Mel, thank you.
Good job, Mel.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Good job,
fantastic.
Good to you, Joe.
Thank you.
You're a great moderator, Joe. Thanks for that.
Thank you.
Okay, you can always find me on
Moderator, yeah, that's, yeah.
you can find me on
Couldn't do it
Instagram.
without you.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. Take
Fantastic.
care.
You
You
too.
too.
Well, thank
Bye,
you, Mel.
Paul.
Thanks, guys. Bye for now.
Bye now.
Bye.
Bye.